And then wait, 3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome to Tabletop Blacksmith. This is Benj and Steve, and tonight we have with us D&D Elise, who is a DM's Guild author, as well as the creator of Red Knights Inn. And that is all on her Twitter bio, and we'll drop that information in the link after. But why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
So everyone, my name is Elise. A lot of people give me a Elise on Twitter. I'm a writer for DM's Guild. I've been fortunate to be a part of several sellers in the guild. I also created the Red Knight Inn, just kind of a casual stream that uses RPGs and gaming, and to kind of celebrate diversity in gaming. I'm a big proponent of like indie gaming of.
I mean, that's wonderful. So, one of the biggest things that I found your content was from DM's Guild. Both Steve and I are dungeon masters. We've been playing D&D for years and have loved everything. And most recently, when DM's Guild sort of like came out a few years ago and was allowing people to collaborate and put their content creation, their homebrew stuff for people to either purchase or to try out for free, it blew my mind, because I think that helped a lot with the boost that has happened with the D&D community at large.
Oh, huge.
Because it's allowing everyone to now collaborate, whereas before we had everyone who was on their private little island with all of their information, and you'd have people with a wall in their house painted with their homebrew world. And now suddenly we're in a place where we can have all of that information available and to share it and to collaborate. So the DM's Guild process, what are some of the things that you do to help prepare yourself for creating content on that platform?
Oh, a lot of stuff. So usually I'm really involved in like the Dungeon Master Creator Circle and different communities where all of us writers are kind of like hanging out on Facebook. And
Right.
someone will be like, I have a proposal for, I want to put together some dungeons with this theme, etc. Who wants to jump in? And usually the first thing I do is I'm doing a lot of research. If I'm on Undermountain, so I better read stuff about Undermountain from all the editions I can get my hands on, and then start thinking about original content and what kind of lore that exists in content that I want to use. During the process, we usually have like an editorial team to give us feedback. Some groups just do stock art that's available, and they kind of work on picking that. I know when I run projects, I onboard artists, kind of like they do with Engaged, and we get like layout teams, and we just get big groups together to coordinate. We set deadlines and just kind of make it happen. So
That's awesome. So it's like a legitimate publishing timeline. What is it? What qualifications do you need? Go through like the DM's Guild process. Like, how do you get through? Like, how do you post stuff on there? How do you, legitimize something that you have managed to get through their process? Talk us through that a little bit. And when did you start doing that?
Oh yeah, another. Yeah.
So I'm kind of new to this. I got really lucky and got unguarded by people who are really seasoned in this, and I think last fall I started. I had written before this. I've been a writer for Hybrid Crew Productions and been published through that, and I've worked as a writer and editor at different jobs. So I'm pretty new. There's people a lot more seasoned. With the process, I know with the DM's Guild, they have like licensure agreements that you definitely want to go through and read. They kind of talk about, you can do settings from Ravenloft and Forgotten Realms, and this is the content you can publish. Make sure to put these copyright information into your work.
Yeah.
There's a process to uploading and kind of splitting royalties. There's a process to getting print on demand. So if you want to do that, you have to, like right now I'm in the process of preparing a marketing proposal to see if I can, get access to print on demand for a project I'm working on. So there's a lot of like research and understanding kind of like copyright and those kind of elements when it comes to publishing reviews.
And did you say you had somebody kind of walk you through that process, or is it something that you kind of just stumbled through, or was it pretty simple overall?
I think I learned the hard way.
Yeah, that's my favorite way.
That's the only way
I
I.
gotta do this thing. What do we do to do layout? Oh, like how do I learn more about DM's Guild copyright and
Yeah.
people in the community would drop links. Right now, there's actually a really great way to learn this stuff. Ashley Warren is a DM's Guild adept, so she started the RPG Writers Workshop, which one of them just started right now, another one this fall. But what's really great is they go through and like detail all that stuff for you, like here's where you go for soccer, here's where you go to find like the copyright stuff, and so if folks want to get involved with RPG writing and don't have to do the trial and error of it, like the RPG workshop is really good.
So RPG Workshop, and should they reach out through? Is there like a Reddit, or should they do it through DM's Guild, or what?
If you just Google search like RPG writing workshop, it should pop up.
Yeah.
Ashley Warren spearheads that.
Huh?
She actually helped spearhead and Cage. She's done a lot of great work. So you can find it on Twitter or
Yeah.
Google search engine. There's a free option and there's a $30 option, which comes with like more features and mentors and all that stuff.
Now this is a legitimate way, right? So I was listening to a podcast, or actually a video cast of Chris Perkins, and he was saying, look, how do people get involved? And Chris Perkins, he got involved way back when they made a printed Dungeon magazine. He wrote under a pseudonym, and he said, hey, the way I got in to working at Wizards of the Coast, it doesn't exist anymore, right? That avenue to land there is extinct, but there is the DM's Guild. And so he's actively publishing. He's like, put stuff on DM's Guild. We read it. If it's good enough and you're consistent, we'll reach out to you. And so this is like a legitimate way to gain exposure, to actually, finance and even make some cash, your D&D addiction. Books ain't free.
Pocket change. Like you can't quit your day job doing DM's Guild stuff, but
Yeah.
Sure.
Pocket change. It is a good way to get exposure. I know Ashley Warren works in game design now because of Cage. Travis Lay has a job at Onyx Path now, or doing it like I don't know if it's a side job or full time or not. I know folks who've just been really involved in Dungeons and Dragons community, like Satine Phoenix and Rudy Rutenberg. Like Satine now works for D&D.
Wow.
Rudy
Yeah, I
now
didn't know
writes
that.
like really well-known content in the guild. So I think just getting involved in the community and, like you guys said, putting content out on the guild and making, taking the time to make quality content and getting editors together and doing these little extras to move over the top.
Yeah, and I use the word. I'm a DM. I use that very loosely. Like, I understand the basic concept of how to run a campaign and not, completely bore people. But the reality is, and what I like about the DM's Guild, and I'll admittedly, between being intimidated, right, and I've been playing for 20 something years, being intimidated to be like, I can't create good content like that, and the commitment, right? DM's Guild removes a lot of those obstacles, and the organized way. It seems like especially what you're talking about, Elise, is like, this is how you become better, right? There's an organized way finally to go through an editing process and to get feedback from a lot of people who play your campaigns. And so how has that helped you as a DM and kind of grow as a creator?
I found out when I started writing, how I created content as a DM is a little different than how I create content for the DM's Guild. When I first started writing modules, there's certain things that I think every DM when they're going through modules or homebrewing, but when you're going through modules, there's certain things you look at more than others. Like I look more at this room, this content. Some people like looking at flavor text. Some people really like that introductory information.
Yeah.
When I first started writing and went to the editor, I had holes in there. And they're like, why is this introductory content so short? And I'm like, because that's the part I don't read. So I had to learn to beef up that stuff and, make sure it includes solid hooks and summaries that, are attention grabbing. And it definitely has changed how I DM because I find now that I DM a ton of workshops to playtest.
Yeah.
I just love playtesting a lot of material on my own campaign. members.
So are you able to run like a ongoing campaign, or do you end up doing I need you to sit down for 6 hours and play this through real quick?
Yeah, one shots here and there.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag. So on my Discord, I have a lot of really amazing playtesters that help me playtest one shots pretty regularly.
Uh-huh.
So I recently moved, and where I used to live, I had an ongoing campaign where I just slide stuff in randomly.
Mhm.
And usually my one shots are about 3 hours, so I could put that into it.
Right.
Easily. They weren't always where I was doing that till afterward, and I'm like, hey, would you do that confident?
Yeah.
I'm about to start a table soon, so they're about to find out. So
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I wanted to just go back really quick. Now, you mentioned as part of your whole process, you do research for what you're going in. So does that mean you have a gigantic library of just every edition on every topic?
Because that would be awesome. And can I see it?
Right, yes.
So I am an avid buyer of PDFs on DM's Guild, because you can buy older edition PDFs on there. Sometimes I'm rummaging if I'm short on cash. As a single parent, I am a lot. I'm like rummaging through books at the store, like used bookstores.
Hey, this could be an alternate. Hey, this could be an alternative to me dancing again, Benj.
It could.
We found the answer.
Yes.
I can stop dancing. Yeah. Sorry. Inappropriate joke. Obligatory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like right now, my front room is a stack of boxes, but I have a big stack of D&D books on my bookshelf right now. And sometimes I'm looking at like just things you never thought you'd look up, like the history of cathedrals and what are the names of different rooms. And, like,
Oh, yeah.
buildings.
I can't tell you. So literally, my current campaign, I'm like, okay, so they're going into like this undead room, and I'm like, what does a dead body smell like? Like, how do I describe that? And I was like, that's kind of gross. I was like, what about like embalming? That'd be a little bit better. And so I Google my search history. I can only imagine, which I would show my search history to anyone. Yeah, I'd show my search history to anybody. I would just like to be there to explain it when they go look at it. That's all. And so in my search history, like, what does embalming fluid smell like? Like, I'm just like, who else does this? I have the world's best hobby, you know? So anyway, so I would just like to be there if anybody ever goes through my search history.
100%. It has ruined all of the advertising that you get targeted with from your searches. Like, I get like sailing and like different types of stone rations, like that people use when they're like survival mode in the desert. Yeah. And it's all just, and I'm like, I don't know what I want to buy anymore.
Yeah. Google thinks I'm a sociopath. No question.
Do you think that every dungeon master who has this kind of a search history ends up on a watch list somewhere?
Yeah. How funny would that? Like, we're just like having a podcast and the FBI busts in your door. We're looking for the guy who's Googling embalming fluid and stone rations. Who is it?
How to get away in a sailboat.
Yeah, right. How to get away with murder on a sailboat. Hey, so I want to talk about a few different things. So first of all, I think the most interesting and maybe even appropriate thing to talk about with everything going on in the world is diversity in gaming. Let's talk through that a little bit. What's your involvement in it, and how'd you get started?
So I think it started last year. Doing events for women in gaming, just like streams and interviews, and just in my own time, like school studies, studied like the importance of like diversity and culture, and making sure everyone feels included. So this year I was like, okay, I want to start my own stream to do these things and make that count critics of like, I want everyone at the gaming table. Because as a woman in gaming, or there are other groups like disabilities, gaming, LGBTQIA. Sometimes you hear stories where it's like, I go into a game place and it's all men, and then I'm the only one there. I feel intimidated. You just hear different stories out there. So I figured if we did local and online events to show like, hey, lots of women like gaming, and let's increase the number of women and people of different races and backgrounds in gaming stores. But maybe women, first-time gamers feel less intimidated going into the sports field, just as important, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So how? So feeling yourself. So just understand it. So you're like, look, I obviously feel uncomfortable, right? And your concern was making sure you shared the hobby with other people who maybe didn't fit the stereotypical mold, or maybe what was. Yeah, that's awesome. So what is it? What is it you do, and how do you get involved in that community to make kind of to that end?
So a big way to do it is month of June is Pride and Women in Gaming Month.
Mm-hmm.
So you can host Women in Gaming Month Pride events, whether online or at your local store. Like I just moved to the area I'm in, so I went to the owners. I'm like, hey, I really want to do a Women in Gaming Month event. They're like, oh, that's a great idea. Let's do it together. And the ladies over at the store, we collaborated together. We had tabletop loot. Prizes for everyone. At one point, we had the whole store full. We had raffles. I thought it was really successful, and we got women who were like shy or young or had never played before, interested in playing D&D. So much so that we have 2 tables of women interested in gaming regularly.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then it's finally an opportunity to reverse the tables where a man walks in who was not aware that it was the woman in gaming night and just suddenly, uh-oh.
Yeah, I literally thought you were going to say, we're going to put the men in chainmail bikinis. I thought that's what you were going to say.
Oh, no. I mean...
That's what I literally was like, okay, where's he going to go?
If the stats are right, I would wear it.
Yeah.
100%.
For the right bonus, you would?
I would. I think that I would afford myself either an intimidation bonus, because any man who wants to pull that off, I think there's a certain level of confidence that's assumed. With it,
for sure. Yep.
That was not the direction I was going to go.
No,
Steve.
I was glad I could take it there. So that's really awesome. So month of June, Pride Month, and Women in Gaming Month, really awesome. Seriously, think they should break those up. Right? There's enough women and enough gay people that just pick 2 different months. But that's awesome.
Well, also both of those are 2 traditionally they were not, associated with the hobby in the first place. So this is I think that WotC, Wizards of the Coast, has done an excellent job with reaching out and pulling in people of everywhere. Like just saying, hey, by the way, we've been doing this for years and it wasn't a problem, but just so you know, everyone is invited. Yeah. So it's been bringing in all kinds of people to the tables that I run.
Oh, for sure.
Creating content as well for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Diverse workforce as well, which is really nice.
How do you feel? Do you feel like there is a difference between a module created by a team of females or even a head, like let's say their lead designer is a female? Is that perspective different? Does it present a different type of game or tone of game? Because I'll be honest, Gary Gygax's campaigns made 0 sense, right? You're just like, why didn't the ogre just kill the goblins and eat those dudes? Like, why has he got to come after you? So has there been a difference at all when you see those games at all? I don't think I've ever noticed a difference.
No, I think women are just as good as men at creating awesome adventures.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think too, I know working with other women, I know we're making an effort to include more women as NPCs. Kind of be in games like, okay, it's not just a king, there's a queen there who's taking charge. The lead of the guard is a woman. Just kind of adding some diversity in the content that we're making. So I am noticing that. Just kind of effort to add some diversity.
Well, and I think it's and I think you hit on it really well, Benj. So how long have you been playing D&D?
Oh yeah,
Elise?
Should have asked that first.
For a few years now. I tried it back in high school, and it was one of those like the DM is against the players, no creativity.
Oh no.
Sure. Thank you, Gary Gygax.
I've been playing video games since childhood.
Yeah.
Huge tabletop gamer.
So Elminster, the real guy's name, Ed Greenwood. So Forgotten Realms, right? The Moonshae Isles is where my current campaign takes place. Is run by Matriarch, right? But
High
yet
Queen Alicia. Oh no, what's her name?
I don't know.
Alicia something.
So you know more than me. Google.
Well, I was just looking this up.
point is that the stereotype that we've all been focusing on for years is the one matriarchal, well-known matriarchal society, and D&D is Drow. So great, they live under the ground and they're evil, and you're just like, come on, Kendrick. There you go.
Alicia.
So I think that's awesome. I think it's fantastic. I think it provides a new, Game of Thrones, right? The Lady of Bear Island. Right, she's hardcore, and the girl's like 12 or whatever in the movie. You never saw it, I guess.
I read
It's
some
awesome.
of the books
So
until I didn't keep reading them.
I think that that's awesome, right? Create that kind of diversity. So I wanted to focus on that. I don't think I did a good job of explaining it, but I'm glad you talked about it. Talk about Uncaged.
Yeah.
So this is Uncaged.
So show that. That is amazing art.
Right.
Who did that artwork?
Samantha Darcy.
Uh-huh.
Ashley Warren is a DM's Guild adept, so she organized the project and steered the ship of many creators. So Ashley Warren that I noticed, hey, we want to do not only adventures set in mythology, but we also want to do adventures that kind of turn the head on tropes of how monsters in D&D are perceived, and to kind of create a new story that empowers women and LGBTQI community in gaming. So there's another volume coming out in July, and 4 total volumes coming out. They're all tiers of play, and there's stuff you can drop into any of your adventures.
And so, how many modules is it?
I think this one's like 24, 25.
And these are all one shot, all different. They're not sequential. So like you can pick up, Ghosts of Saltmarsh and play from levels, A to B, or you can play this, which I love this idea, is like, let's pick some solid modules and you can pick and choose which one you want to play.
Taylor.
Pick up and play, especially if you need
Yeah.
like a last minute one shot too.
Yeah. How did you guys, with all the different authors, how did you guys create the same format when for each of the modules? Because, they can all be written differently in different styles and stuff.
Yeah, there was a template that she had available, so to kind of give like a general flow for everything would look like.
Yeah.
And it appears that each book is divided by the type of mythology. So the first one's like ancient mythology, the next one is more like European, maybe Celtic type mythology, that area. And I'm not sure who the other two are going to be. We'll find out, but there seems to be kind of like some organization. Each one's organized by tier as well.
So give us a kind of a sample of or an example, either way, of what, like how it turns tropes on its head, right? Because I just watched a whole WebDM podcast about, or video cast about them saying, hey, tropes are, cliches are not bad, they're good, but they can get old, right? Stale. So how do you guys freshen that up?
So for example, some people have rewritten stories about, for example, like hags, and giving them a backstory and meaning and making them strong people that, there's more to them than just like evil and grossness. I know with mine, I wrote Heart of the Goddess, and I made Maya like pretty much like Wonder Woman. She's like, I'm gonna go conquer this whether you wait for me or not, and she's so there's a lot of themes of like strong women, and also there's kind of like stories that maybe women can relate to as well.
That's really interesting because one of my favorite campaigns that I played in, it was working with that kind of an angle, and I think that Joseph Fontaine, my dungeon master, if he'd had this, that would have helped him tremendously, because we were in the world of Eberron, and there is an island of monsters in Eberron, and it is run by 3 hag sisters, and I don't know anything about Eberron except for what that was, and it was completely different because I was used to they're like witches who steal children in the night and then cook them for their stew. But this was they were cunning and crafty, and they were kind of like the leadership of the whole island, keeping the monster tribes from infighting and unifying everyone together. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, so the stories of Medusas and hags are very different. So if you need a nice plot twist.
Yeah, and I think that's even so. You've been playing for several years now, and the reality is that you get a few years of gaming under your belt, you feel like you've seen it all, right? And so,
Travel in another tavern.
Yeah.
I can see people one more time.
what I want to see is a Medusa that turns statues into real people. That's what I want.
Go.
So
The
let's.
body is snakes, and the face has hair made of real woman. It's a reverse Medusa.
There you go. How about that? That's
That does not make an
interesting.
appearance in Uncaged because that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So
It was cut out in editing.
it was it was in the first round of editing. They cut it out.
So Elise, what is Red Knight's Inn? Tell me what that is.
The Red Knight Inn is themed after the Red Knight in Dungeons and Dragons, who
Uh-huh.
is a strong female warrior. The symbol of it is a woman on a horse. The whole point of it is to promote diversity in gaming. I do TTRPGs. I interview the D&D community, RPG community.
Yeah.
It's pretty laid back. It's small. We just started last month.
Is it so? It's a website? Is it? Does it got a Facebook page? What is it?
Twitch stream.
Okay, perfect. And you want to shout that out to what is it? Is it at D&D Elise?
It would be a Red Knight's Inn,
So you
right?
can find me at D&D Elise on Twitter, and
Mm-hmm.
the Twitch stream is like twitch.tv/the Red Knight Inn. So,
Cool. And then the DM's Creator Circle. I've never heard about that.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, tell me more about that. You just like say it in passing, and I'm like, wait, that's awesome. Tell me what that is.
So it is a Facebook group online. I believe RP Davis started it. So
Mm-hmm.
RP Davis is one of the seasoned DM skill writer. He's been doing this for years. Like, he is a wealth of information and a very talented writer, by the way. But pretty much we go there to get feedback on each other's modules. Hey, we need an artist, we need an editor. Like this article I read, hey, I want to start a project. Who wants to write? So we pretty much just go there to hang out, talk about DM skill work.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's back up all the way to when, so high school, you try gaming, doesn't work out. It's like, I tried smoking, I didn't really like it. But, so you tried gaming, didn't work out, then you get back to it a few years later in your
gamer is D&D.
D&D in particular. So what was it that you're like, I'm going to go check this out? What was it that brought you back to it?
Try it again.
Yeah.
I tried 4E, and I know lots of people are like, 4E, it was fun.
I love
Then
4th
tried
edition.
5E, and I was all like, where has this been my whole life?
Yep. Yeah.
I reached a point where
It's been hidden in second edition is where it's been. Yeah.
I've been playing tabletop board games for a long time. After you play Dungeon and Seasons, there's only so many tactics you can use. And eventually I was playing Fantasy Flight, this is like 6-hour games. And like when I hit Dungeons and Dragons, I'm like, oh, no rules. Like limited rules, not a whole lot of boundaries. You can keep going. So I felt like I just kind of graduated.
Yeah, I know that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
Because I played role-playing games my whole life, video games and, mostly video game role-playing games. But as soon as I played Dungeons and Dragons, I was simultaneously upset and angry and felt like I had wasted 24 years of my life not playing. Because I didn't start until I joined the military, and I didn't have any friends at my first duty station. I got there and I was like, well, I've got literally nothing to lose. I've always wanted to try this, so I went to a comic book store, and it was exactly like if you think, what do D&D players look like? I showed up at the comic book store. That was exactly what they looked like. It was amazing. The dungeon master was this great big man with a massive beard, and everyone else who was seated at the table, there was like the scrawny, skinny kid with the glasses. There was the girl who was sitting there with her boyfriend, but she was clearly like the one in charge of the relationship because she had like bright pink hair and it was shaved off on one side. And I was like, I immediately love all of these people.
Yeah.
Thank you for assimilating me into your culture. Hello, I'm in the military, but please be my friends.
Yeah.
And they were like, here's your character sheet. I was like, okay, what do I do? Just pretend to be him for 3 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
So for 3 hours, I was Fenrir the Red, a fiery dwarf, and it was amazing.
So my brother and I just had a conversation. So I have a brother in Utah who kind of got me started in gaming when I was 11, 10 years old. And, we were having this conversation. Okay. So at what point does a tabletop role-playing game become, so a board game become a role-playing game, right? So there are a lot of board games.
Right.
And you can't necessarily take on the role, right? If you started to talk in a different accent, it would be tough. Were you going to say something?
Sometimes you can.
Well, so which one? Like, so it's which board game?
So I played Bang with the folks from Castle Mag.
I'm not smart enough to play Bang.
Role play. We
Yeah.
all had a role play what we were doing.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's exceptions to that, and of course we're all D&D players, so we're apt to do that. But
That's amazing. I did that same thing when I was playing Bang with my brothers.
You were the only one?
I was the only one. And it was fantastic because they got the cards, right? They got the card game. They're like, hey, you're visiting. Let's play this game. It's called Bang. I was like, what is this? They're like, all right, you are Clive. And these are your things that you have. And I was like, okay. And I was an outlaw the whole time. But I pretended to be a friend of the sheriff the whole time. And my brother, at the very end of it, like I had shot other outlaws to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Because I was in character, and and there was two people left. It was my brother was the sheriff, and there was my brother who was the deputy, and there was me who was the outlaw. And I was convincing enough that my brother shot at my other brother. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I can't tell you. I can't tell if you're a good guy or bad guy because you've been staying this way the whole game. I don't know what's happening anymore because I was changing the entire way the game was played for them.
So how did it end?
He shot me because he's like, I have to flip a coin. I can't tell which of you is a good guy or not. I was like, you can shoot at me, but I'll always be your brother. And he got me, and I was like,
so I guess I stand corrected. Maybe you can. Maybe you can.
Specifically written for that. In fact, the rules themselves are all written and translated from Italian, so it's hard to even tell what it's supposed to be saying in the first place. Yeah.
So do you think that is it just playing a role? Oh, I am a dwarf barbarian, right? That is my role in this party, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do things as if that character. Or is it necessary to take on a personality and an accent? Like at what point, right? What point do you become a role player? Does it become a role playing game?
I think it really depends on the group that you're playing with and your gaming backgrounds. So
Yeah.
I think when I first started tabletop gaming, like it was just like, oh, we're following the rules and we're doing the things. But now that I play D&D, it's like, how can I role play that? So I think just that experience plays a role, and if your friends are interested in that kind of angle to gaming,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a huge deal. One of the reasons, like, I've always wanted to play a traditional, magic users, right? Wizards are the only arcane casters, and there are no dragonborn, right? There are no tiefling or whatever. But that feels restrictive to a lot of characters, a lot of players who have been playing for a long time. They're like, look, I've done that before. I've been the human barbarian. I'm over it, right? I want to try something new. And so I think that's a big part of it. And, why it's a reason to open up things, for sure.
Right.
creativity.
Yeah. How do you feel about Unearthed Arcana content? And do you allow it in games?
I love it. I always allow it in all my games.
Even if it's not play tested totally. I get so nervous.
As a DM, if you really get a good feel for DMing, you can change your content to deal with. I know a lot of people like the mistake. You can change some things like that, or if you got a party of all wizards. If you know what you're doing DMing, you can shift things to make sense to what you're playing.
So I agree 100%. How do you feel though about so they're working through the not the alchemist, the dude who makes a lot of stuff. Yes, the artificer. Right? And so that is a notoriously overpowered, if not, you can min-max that class really easily. So
Or the older ones.
the older ones. So now they've come up with this new one, and so I get nervous allowing it because I don't know what's going to happen at 15th level, right? And that's the concern that I have is that character going to scale? And so perfect. There is a billion different monsters that I can throw at that character to challenge that character. But in doing so, I have killed the wizard, the cleric, the thief, and the fighter who have been balanced and play tested for thousands of hours. But you don't feel that same concern.
To like, I have the dragon. I'm picking up somebody with the dragon and fighting over here a little bit and coming back. I don't know, like. Me, like, I have, like, crazy epic battles, so I'm like, wait, some monsters, like, what can I add in the room to make it more interesting? Like, oh, the room's on fire, now the bad guys can shoot down rafters, like, on people.
Oh, right.
There's different elements that you can add to your game to make it more exciting platforms. I love a you can swing from that I think kind of add challenge for a higher level gameplay. Maybe have a puzzle to solve or something that makes it really cool.
So my secret, if things become too easy, I throw ninjas in. What are you going to do? It's a ninja. Yeah, just drop. I didn't see them well. You weren't so crappy at perception. Do you feel like perception is the most overused, skill in the game? More heavily relied on than any other.
A lot of new DM sees it, but it depends on the DM. I think
Yeah.
seasoned DMs know how to like pull out the variety pack toolkit, but
Yeah.
new DMs they're like, oh, nervous perception, you know.
Yeah, it seems like a catch-all. So what is your go-to if you've got to not kind of downshift into just roll a perception check?
So I keep in mind like, okay, what's their passive perception? Is this something that they really need to perception check? So with me, I'll kind of describe elements of the room. Like there's a picture here. There's something that's slightly ajar. So if they're going to look at the thing slightly ajar, maybe I'll do a perception check if there's something there.
Yeah.
It's not, but I don't know. Some of it I just let passive perception pick it up because I don't want to like bore my players.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Well, I can see what you're describing also be what it would be a direct interpretation of what their passive perception is. If they have a high passive perception, they would notice there's a draft in the room.
Yeah.
There's no windows and doors.
Sure.
So yeah, that could be one way to pull that off.
Interact with this object, you look up and you see something slightly ajar, like something like that. So kind of
So-
like roll it into what they're doing already.
Yeah. So when did you start picking up these kind of think on your feet tactics as a DM?
I think you always have to kind of do it as a DM because players never go where you want them to. And
Yeah.
I pretty much started DMing, like when I do campaigns, I'm like, sandbox.
Yeah.
If there's a wall there, they might go over that wall, and I have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of improv involved, and you just gotta have a few backup things in your notes in case they go somewhere crazy. Like, oh, this encounter here is so makes sense to my campaign, and or
Well-
I have this element I can drop in at any time.
Yeah.
Where you're at.
So how much time do you spend working on D&D stuff? It's like that CNN. It's like that CNN clip where the guy's doing like what's in his kid walks in. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah.
The nanny comes in,
Yeah.
like
grabs the kid. Oh man, that's
Best
awesome.
video clip.
I was just hoping for the guy to stand up and him be wearing shorts. It's like, dude. Yeah, that would be awesome. So how many hours a week do you spend doing this stuff?
Probably too many.
Yeah.
I feel like the DM skill writing has become like a second job. Like,
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm leading a Feywild project. Volume 1 is about how the dwarf blades, the layout. I am putting out writing submissions for volume 2, so check out on my Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
Right, mission. But it's just constant messaging, like from all kinds of people, writing. I think I have 5 or 6 projects going on at once a month or 2 ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I whittled it down like 2.
Yeah. Then how many hours a week are you gaming actively?
I probably only game like every other week because I'm still busy writing. So
Yeah.
Okay.
focus is writing right now. I used to game more, especially before I had a kid. God, that's all good.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, there's some video games like I wish I had time to play, but I don't.
Sure.
You know, I've got a love D&D and I love the writing, and it's really rewarding having your stuff published out there. Like I never thought I'd have hardcover anything, so.
And that's an
It
amazingly,
is
like,
beautiful
very
looking.
well edited and published. So congratulations. How is so? You worked with Satine Phoenix directly or indirectly?
I've interviewed her before, but I've never worked with her directly on anything.
Yeah.
So.
How about?
Sirens and Drums.
Oh
And
yeah.
she's just as pleasant as she looks. I mean, not in that way. I mean, like as she seems, like her persona.
Cool. Yeah.
Hey, look.
Good. It's
This
not
is
a-
my dog or my kid.
That is.
Hello. Ooh, you stink.
Oh, Lily, come on.
So so talk about Travis Legg. What's your relationship with him? What does he do?
So.
Relationship. It's not okay. You know what I'm talking about.
He's like
Professional.
Working relationship.
Projects I've been in, but
Yeah.
the latest doing it is a Scarlands campaign.
Mhm.
So he got a bunch of writers together, and we're each releasing a module at each level for an entire campaign based
Yeah.
in Scarlands, but rewritten into Dungeons and Dragons 5e.
Oh.
I wrote a level 13 module for that called Told Real.
Mhm.
Coming out soon. And in July.
She's like, make me a peanut butter and jelly. That's okay.
You're good. We have a million kids.
Yeah.
We totally get it.
But the Scarlands campaign should start. You'll see it on RPG Director
Yeah.
via Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
This summer. So I think in July, it's started dropping. So.
That's awesome.
So RPG Drive Through, another avenue that you're also writing for.
Indeed, yeah. So they're both DM's Guild and RPG Drive-Thru are one-stop bookshop.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's the coolest kid ever, by the way. So, as just in wrapping up, is there anything else you want to plug, talk about?
so I talked about the Fable project. So
Yep.
we're taking submissions till July 31st. We're creating phasing magic containment and weapons.
Uh-huh.
Also have a call for artists coming up this fall. We have book of seasons coming out. We're full-time, winter-time. And I have a ton of other stuff coming out. It's gradually cropping out slowly.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll have to all get everyone together and run a one-shot so that we can all get together, and you will have a break from DMing, and yeah, we'll have to get that all organized.
Be awesome.
Forever DM these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indeed. All right. Well, thank you so much, Elise, for
Seriously,
taking the time
thanks.
to see us. You can find her at DND Elise on Twitter. All of her information is plugged there as well. And thank you again.
Thanks for
All
having me.
right. Yeah. See ya. Bye-bye.